So close, yet so far. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 video games with great stories but terrible gameplay. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at the video games which had great ideas going for them, but sadly, some of the more technical aspects held them back from being masterpieces. We won't be including the likes of Heavy Rain, which in itself is basically all story and whose gameplay just seems to kind of be an afterthought.
Jason! Jason! Jason!
Number 10, Killer 7.
Collateral shot. This is too easy.
This game is kind of an oddball to say the least. It has the narrative hallmarks of an early Quentin Tarantino film with stylish characters, a lot of killing, and a very unpredictable plot. And it's these traits that have made the game a cult classic for well over a decade now. That said, the game takes a very unconventional approach with the actual gameplay, and it doesn't always work out. Progression is super restrictive, gunfights keep you planted in one place, and the combat can get rather repetitive over time. Still, you can't fault the game for trying something different at the time.
Precious vote. Yeah, right.
Number 9, Deadly Premonition. The one that really divided players. Some regarded it as complete trash, while others hailed it as an example of how video games have truly become an art form. For the most part, we agree that the investigation into the Raincoat Killer, as well as all the supernatural aspects involving the white and red rooms, make for a compelling supernatural police procedural. However, on the gameplay front, they might have been trying a bit too hard to be out of the box. The open world aspect was diminished by the constant need to eat, sleep, and maintain hygiene, while the minigames just felt like a total waste. We're taking on horrific monsters here, guys. We really don't have time to play darts. Number 8, Alpha Protocol. While not as well crafted as other games like Mass Effect, there was some legitimate joy to be found in the branching dialogue choices of this espionage action RPG. As Secret Agent Michael Thornton, you found yourself engaging in various missions across the globe, as well as investigating an overarching conspiracy that had you questioning who you could really trust. Throw in some decent romances and plenty of options for who you side with, and there's a lot going on here. Alas, it was let down at the finish with sloppy combat, repetitive boss fights, weak customization options, and the lasting impression that it was more style than substance. Number 7, Asura's Wrath. In terms of cinematic presentation, Capcom managed to deliver a game that was a feast for the eyes, taking visual cues and inspiration from Buddhism while blending in together some sci-fi settings. After being betrayed by his fellow demigods following the murder of his wife and kidnapping of his daughter, Asura sets out to take his revenge and destroy everything that gets in his way with his bare fists. Now, don't get us wrong, we enjoy beating the crap out of a boss that's as big as a planet. We just kinda wish we could have controlled more than 10% of it. In fact, if you count the hours of actual gameplay versus cutscenes, it makes a very embarrassing pie chart. Number 6, Deus Ex Invisible War.
Come on, let's show him what I'm blinded!
Look out!
Hot off the heels of its critically acclaimed predecessor, Invisible War had a tough act to follow given the scope and magnitude of the original's multiple outcomes. Opting to technically combine all 3 endings, the player must now take on the role of Alex D as they try to stop 4 new global superpowers from taking charge of the world. It's always going to be a challenge to live up to Deus Ex's splendor. But even then, the forced combat, the linearity, the universal ammo, and miserable-looking aesthetics made the overall package seem like a pale reflection more than a worthy sequel. Number 5, The Last Guardian. Look, if you give us a giant dog chicken and make it cute as hell, then of course we're gonna get emotionally invested in our game. Considering that this is the spiritual successor to the masterful Shadow of the Colossus, we knew we were going to be getting minimal dialogue, but some otherwise poignant storytelling. Unfortunately, as heartfelt as the relationship is, it doesn't spare us from Trico's tendency to dilly-dally when it comes to commands. which results in you plummeting to your death on more than one occasion. Bad dog chicken, bad! Number 4, Dragon Age 2. In the awesomeness that is the Dragon Age trilogy, there's little room to doubt that the second installment remains the weakest. Not to say that it doesn't have a lot in terms of an engrossing narrative. The tension between the Templars and the Mages made a compelling point on the subject of race relations and how fear and prejudice makes villains out of all of us. Though, for all of BioWare's greatness, choosing to set the entire story inside the less than visual charming Kirkwall and then simplifying the combat did not work in its favor. Number 3, Nier. Talk about a disjointed final result. It seems that for everything great about this spin-off of the Drakengard series, there is also a noteworthy critique. Nier's quest to save his daughter from a deadly illness known as the Black Scrawl was filled with a plethora of truly shocking twists that kept us coming back for more. However, the lifeless environments, rather bland lead character, and forced meshing of gameplay styles certainly made it kind of a chore to play through. The combat can border on exceptional, but the side quests are a giant waste of time, so it pretty much goes back and forth on that front, keeping this JRPG from reaching greater heights. Number 2, Mafia 3.
Fighting freedom don't mean shit without power. Huh?
What could have been a goldmine finds itself mired in the greatest sin a video game can offer. It gets really boring really quick. With its repetitive mission pattern that it never seems to stray from, and just a lack of creativity when it comes to combat and gameplay in general, Lincoln Clay's bloody tale loses a lot of its impact. This is a pretty big shame, since its cutscenes bolster astounding graphics and performances that deserve to be ranked with some of gaming's best. Unfortunately, seeing the same kill animation 100 times in a row is not a great way of setting the tone for a supposedly gritty look at racism and violence in 1960s New Orleans.
Now you struggle and you sweat, and someone can take it all away just like that.
Number 1, Divinity: Dragon Commander.
Picking up their scent.
You are the bastard son of an assassinated emperor, and have to wage war against your siblings in order to bring peace, all while engaging with the emissaries of other civilized races, interacting with your generals, and even traversing an arranged marriage. Oh, and you can also transform into a dragon. How could you mess that up? Well, by watering down the real-time strategy element that's supposed to make up the other half of the game, and failing to utilize the draconic transformation mechanic to its fullest extent. As such, battles become burdens that we'd rather not bother with, especially when we have a lizard queen waiting for us back in our chambers.
Your wish is my command. It took all my strength to say that with a straight face.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.